Happy holidays! That is right, and we are connecting with Double Dime from the Slow Coin Show, and it is the holiday season, so we're gonna play some Sega Rally, we're gonna play some Decathlete, and I figured I would show you guys my Sega Saturn collection of burned discs. Look at all this stuff we got here. This is just the Netlink stuff, and this isn't even all of the Netlink stuff. What I have here is a binder filled with, this is Sega CD over here. We just gotta make a couple of page turns over to the Sega Saturn stuff. And the blue discs are actually the discs that, these are the first discs I burned back in 2006, back when I first got my Sega Saturn on eBay. I got my Saturn in like, I think February of 2006. I think I was in 8th grade, and yeah, I mean, I can pretty much tell you exactly what the first games I burned were, because they're blue. And then I remember I burned like, I don't know, maybe like about a dozen discs. And then I ran out of discs, and then I had to tell my dad to bring me over to Best Buy. And like now, you know, we got the regular, you know, like these types of discs. So, but I can still tell you which discs I burned after the blue ones. But yeah, we're going to be doing some Sega Rally today, and that's a real treat because Double Dime, he's more of a Daytona kind of guy, but he's been getting into Sega Rally, which is just great news. We're gonna have to show him what's up. It's been a bit for me, so I might be a little rusty, but it's like riding a bike. You just gotta get into the zone, which I can sense that I'm entering that zone right now. It's a close match. I'm pushing him a little bit. I'm giving him a little boost. So there actually has been some news in the Netlink community. Thanks to Sega RPG Fan, he is now up to version 4.3 of patched games. It's been, you know, 4.2 for the past few months, and 4.2 was already like, you know, amazing. I mean, we went from VoIP adapter to tunnel method to 4.1 to 4.2. I mean, I don't know how it can get any better from 4.3. So basically what 4.3 does is it just takes away all those little hiccups, those little tiny micro hiccups that we would see. Basically, if you watch some of my videos on Puyo Puyo, you'll notice that even though we were doing 4.2 and we were doing the tunnel method and it was, you know, leagues better than the VoIP adapter, you'll still see that there are some little hiccups here and there, which really, I mean, you know, I mean, to be honest, I was always happy just playing VoIP. I was always happy. I was too amazed at the fact that we got this shit working at all, that Sega RPG Fan and Zaiden had even gotten that working back when they did. So to get the tunnel method and to get the 4.2 and everything, I mean, this is the future here. I mean, we got it running on Dreampi now. The Dreampi is actually not in the shot right now. The way I have my setup, I couldn't get it in the shot because the router's all the way to the left, and you know, actually I could get it into the shot if I just need a really long internet cable, and I'd be able to get it in the shot. Trust me that modem right there, it's connected to the Dreampi, and we're like halfway done with this last lap, so I gotta clock it in here because Double Dime's right on my ass. He's right behind me. I can't make any mistakes here. Here it comes. Here comes that big final turn where if you mess it up, this could cost you everything. Okay, I think I'm good. Whew. There we go. Oh boy. Okay. Let's talk about some of these. Let's talk about some of these blue discs I got here. Okay, blue disc number 1, Virtua Cop. That's right, Virtua Cop, because when I got my Saturn, I remember I was debating between getting, you know, Atari 2600, Atari Jaguar, 3DO, and Saturn. between these 4 systems, because between 2003 and 2005, when I was in middle school, I pretty much spent that whole time getting a new retro system. Pretty much every year I was getting another system. And actually the Genesis 32X, which I have right here, that was my first retro system I ever got. And the reason why I got it was because I was a Nintendo kid growing up. So, you know, we had NES, we had Nintendo 64, we had Game Boy Color, then we got GameCube. And the first GameCube game we ever got was Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. The second GameCube game we got was Crazy Taxi. And then at some point within that first year, we got Phantasy Star Online. So I became a massive Sega fan, all because of the Nintendo GameCube, which is pretty funny to think about. And remember GameFAQs.com, which still exists to this day? I was like 11 years old, and when I discovered that website, and I used to get addicted to looking at the all systems section. And I remember typing in the search bar, you know, because I had the GameCube. I was like, okay, let's type in Sonic the Hedgehog, let's type in Phantasy Star, let's type in Crazy Taxi. And I found out, like, oh wow, there's Phantasy Star games and Sonic games on this thing called the Sega Genesis, which I had played a Genesis before in my dentist's waiting room. Okay, I didn't play Genesis at a friend's house or anything like that. I played Genesis in my dentist's waiting room. I remember playing Spot Goes to Hollywood, and I think one of the Sonic games. I don't remember which one, but that's what made me get a Sega Genesis, and got a Sega Dreamcast in like 2004, and then got a Virtual Boy, got a PS1, and then I got the Saturn. So, and like I said, I was debating between 3DO and Atari 2600 and Atari Jaguar. But the reason why I was like, okay, no, I'm going to get the Saturn was because I just saw, like, I was on GameFAQs.com, and I looked at, like, the games on Saturn, and I saw the games that were here. I was like, wait a minute, Virtua Cop, Virtua Fighter, Duke Nukem 3D, Quake 1, Daytona, like, all these big, like, arcade games. And I was just like, whoa, like, holy shit. I mean, Quake and Duke Nukem 3D are not arcade games, but, you know, they were PC games that I had growing up. And actually, the PC version of Quake and Duke Nukem 3D that I played when I was a really little kid in the late 90s, those were the shareware versions. So my first time playing the full version of Duke Nukem 3D and the full version of Quake 1 was on the Saturn. So I loved my Saturn. I mean, you know, when I got my Saturn in 2006, the arcades were like safely dead at that point. I know everybody says that the arcades were dying in the mid-90s, but when I was a little kid, I mean, we had arcades all over the place. I mean, we had a big arcade in the Nathans. We had a mall arcade, a bowling alley arcade. There were just arcades all over the place. So, you know, I never thought that I wouldn't have known that the arcades were dying in the 90s. I was too young to have known that. But by 2006, I really missed the arcades because they were all gone in my hometown. So, yeah, Virtua Fighter, Virtua Cop. Oh, House of the Dead. I knew that House of the Dead was on the Saturn, so I burned that as well. What is the other? Oh, I see Corpse Killer there. That's a blue disc. See, Corpse Killer, it's interesting that I even burned that game. Like, Corpse Killer has just always been notoriously a bad game, you know? Even back in, like, the early 2000s. It was always considered just a shitty game, and it was just always worth a burn, you know? What else? Oh, there's House of the Dead right there. So my first page on this binder is just House of the Dead, Virtua Cop, and Corpse Killer. So I'll turn the page in a second when we see when we finish this race right here. So, guess what? Guess what I'm getting for Christmas this year? Sonic Frontiers. I actually waited to get that game because, you know, me and my brother, we have like a tradition where, you know, we always get each other video games for Christmas. So I figured I'd wait for that because, you know, I'm like, basically, I'm an adult here. So, you know, there's not much I want for Christmas. So I figured, okay, I'll wait for Christmas to get Sonic Frontiers. And I have an Xbox Series X, so I'm not gonna get it on Switch. You know what I mean? Like, pretty much any game that's ever multi-platform, I never get it on Switch. Like I get stuff on Switch that's first party Nintendo. I never get anything that's multi-platform on the Switch for obvious reasons. Okay. And now we have to do Mountain. Yeah, Sega Rally, you know, it's great and everything, but holy shit, man. It's really, I feel like only Forest and Desert are like the only playable levels. Like Mountain and Lakeside just suck ass. Alright, let's turn the page here. What do we got here? Oh, wow, there's a bunch of stuff missing here. Alright, we got Mighty Hits. Mighty Hits, okay? Okay, let me tell you something real quick. See this right here? When I got my Sega Saturn on eBay in 2006, the first thing I did, I bought this before my Saturn even came in the mail, and I bought 2 of these. And I remember like I actually threw the other box out because it was just taking up space. But Mighty Hits is an awesome, awesome light gun game, and I don't think enough people talk about it. Okay, you know, obviously, okay, we also have Area 51, Crypt Killer, and Maximum Force. So that's like the page is that page is dedicated to light gun games. Area 51, that was another arcade game that I remember my local movie theater had our Area 51, and I loved the shit out of it. Maximum Force, I actually didn't play that in the arcades, but you know, that was just another game I discovered on the Saturn, and it's basically a sequel to Area 51. I mean, it's a spiritual successor, I guess would be the better term. I don't think their stories are connected. But yeah, I mean, that's what the Saturn was all about to me. You know, I know I mentioned Duke Nukem 3D and Quake 1, but really it was all about the arcade games. You know, I mean, the only thing Saturn is really missing is Time Crisis 1. I mean, if it had Time Crisis 1, then the Saturn would be the #1 ultimate best light gun console of all time. And see, this sucks about Sega Rally when this happens, and it's like you get really stuck, and there wasn't anything I could do about that actually. I mean, I could have not have gotten stuck, but once you're stuck like that, you're fucked. But yeah, Time Crisis. I mean, I have a PlayStation 1, and I have the Gun Con on PlayStation 1, and you know, for me, it's all about Time Crisis 1 and Lethal Enforcers 1 and 2, which I have Lethal Enforcers 1 and 2 on the Genesis, and I only have 1 Konami Justifier. I don't have 2. You know, the pink Konami Justifier, which has like a dial-up, an RJ11 connection on the bottom of it, and you're supposed to daisy chain the pink Justifier into the first Justifier light gun. It's so weird. I actually used to have it when I was a kid back in 2003. It was actually part of the Genesis 32X bundle that I got. And yeah, I mean, back then, my mom made me fucking sell it. And that was just a thing back then. I mean, I got bit by the retro gaming bug into that. When I got my Genesis, I went like 4 months without playing it. And I remember I wanted to use PS1 at GameStop because they were selling them for $40. And my mom said, you know what, if you want another retro system, like, you got to get rid of this one because you've gone 3-4 months without playing it. And, you know, back then, I didn't know any better. But, you know, now that I'm, you know, an adult, I know myself now. You know, I know that, sure, I'll go 3-4 months without playing a system. It doesn't mean I'm never going to play it again. Even the Saturn happens all the time. I'll go months without playing the Saturn, but I'm going to come back to it. You know, I was 11 years old back then, so I had no idea, and neither did my parents. I mean, my mom, she didn't know. So that was a big mistake, was selling that, and I had to rebuy. I had to rebuy everything, and by the time I rebought all my Genesis stuff, I could not get the pink light gun because the pink light gun itself is like, it's just so rare to get it. And the reason why the pink Konami Justifier is so rare is because I don't think it was sold in stores. You actually had to call Konami and get it through mail order. So yeah, it's just one of those things. You know, it's kind of like a Daytona USA Netlink edition. You know, wasn't on store shelves. It's one of those things. I'll tell you right now, though, because on GameFAQs, you know how like on GameFAQs they have like the top 10 games for every retro system. You know, Nights into Dreams is there. I mean, I don't know if it's there now, but back when I got my Saturn, it was there. And I remember I was like, okay, you know, this is a Sonic Team game. I got to burn this. Same with Burning Rangers. I burned Nights into Dreams and Burning Rangers right away. And I didn't like either of these games. Like, it's kind of fucked up. I really didn't like. I like them now, but when I was I was 14. I did not like it. Bubble Bobble, which I had to get because we had the Bubble Bobble on NES games. On the NES, 3D Baseball, which I just bought. I just burned it because I don't know. I'm not even. It's baseball's like kind of like one of the few sports games that I can actually play a little bit. Earthworm Jim 2, I had to get it because, you know, I had Earthworm Jim 1 and 2 on Genesis. Dragon Ball Z, I don't know why I burned. I think I burned that for my brother because I'm not even really a big Dragon Ball Z kind of guy. I guess we have to do Lakeside even though it's so miserable. What do we got here? All right, so now we're going into the regular. So that's Sonic Z stream. So I definitely didn't burn that when I was a kid. Guardian Heroes. Oh, here's some blue ones. Mortal Kombat Trilogy and Daytona USA. Yeah, I mean Mortal Kombat. What I got to say about that? I mean, Mortal Kombat Trilogy actually was my first Mortal Kombat I played on PC when I was a little kid. And you know, I would see Mortal Kombat 2 and 3 in the arcades. I remember going to Chuck E. Cheese and seeing like Primal Rage. Primal Rage, like, it's interesting because like I have Primal Rage on 32X. I have Primal Rage on Saturn. Primal Rage, like, I don't know, man. I could never get into Primal Rage. Like, actually get into it. When I was a kid, you know, I would put my quarters in there and I would play a few games. Boom, go to the next machine. Not really think much of it. You know, I mean, I was a little kid, so I'll admit that I did like the graphics. I did like seeing dinosaurs and everything. But I don't know. Maybe I didn't take the time to learn the game. But it just seems like it's not a good like technical fighter. Like it doesn't seem like the actual gameplay. You know, it's kind of lacking in Primal Rage. I don't know. It's interesting just how famous Primal Rage got. Because think about it, that game never had a sequel as far as I'm aware. You know, usually fighting games, when they blow up and they get big, like, they all have sequels. Like, I can't think of any other fighting game that got as big as Primal Rage did, and it never had a sequel. Tekken, Virtua Fighter, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, like, these are the main fighting games that I think about. Any other fighting game that came in the 90s, like, just kind of came and went. You know, it didn't... Some of them didn't even get... ported to consoles. You know, I remember Pit Fighter. I mean, that came to, like, I think Super Nintendo and Genesis. Pit Fighter, that was another game with digitized graphics. I don't think that game ever got a sequel. Oh, crashed into Double Diamond and I gave him a short boost. Yeah, and, you know, I had my Dreamcast the year before. So I got my Dreamcast when I was in, like, I don't know, I think 8th grade, yeah. And it's interesting how I had no idea you could burn games for it. Here I am doing the swap trick at 14 years old, and all I had to do was just burn games and just put them in my Dreamcast, and they would have just worked. I wouldn't have to do the swap trick at all. And I just want to tell you something about the swap trick. I might have told you guys this story in a past Netlink video, but I'm going to just say it again. I was the first person on YouTube back in 2006 to make a video on how to do the swap trick. Now, I have nothing to back that up because I remember on my old YouTube channel, which is called Stink72, you know, I was just a bunch of home video shit that I used to upload back in 2006, back when YouTube was in its, like, really, really early days. I made a video called How to Do the Swap Trick on the Sega Saturn, and one of my friends at school, one of my quote-unquote friends, saw the video, commented on it saying, wow, what a fucking nerd, and I got self-conscious about it and deleted the video. And it wasn't like an edited video. It was literally just me with a camcorder describing you know, how to do it, and it was such a super amateur guerrilla style, you know, like a home video basically. It was a home video. And it's interesting because, like, I don't know, I wonder like how many views that video, because think about all those videos that were uploaded in 2006, 2007, like they all got a shit ton of fucking views, you know? So, yeah, I don't know, what would have happened? I mean, what could have happened there? I probably would have, I think it would have gotten at least like a couple of 100,000 views, you know? Just because, I'm not kidding, like this was super early. This was like, we're talking like fucking February of 2006, like early 2006, like super, super. Oh my God, that was so close. Oh my God. Oh shit. Yeah, Double Dime did help me a lot. Yeah, every time you crash into the back of the opponent, like, they get a nice boost. All right, we did all 4 tracks. Let's play another game now. So I wasn't doing as much gaming, but I do remember when the first retro console, because like at this point I had like a whole bunch of them that I had collected in middle school, and oh shit, he beat me. And you know what? It's all because I hit the fucking grass at the end. And the Dreamcast was the first system that I was like, okay, let's go back to this one, and I just started burning games like crazy. And yeah, I mean, no swap trick, no nothing. You just put the game in and it fucking works. Like it's so crazy how Sega fucked that up. I think it was like the MIL CD support or something like that, some audio track. I don't know. You could do research on it. Everybody knows about how shitty the fucking piracy protection was on the Dreamcast. So let's put into Cathlete. And one sec. BRB.